Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's get right to it about giving people money. The first, I'll say in the offset of basically a premise I have because I've seen some creators lately, Danny Lore, Mags Sagio in particular, basically e-begging or asking for money to their coffee or just give me money, please. And usually with the hey rent's high, please give me cash. I do think that in 2015, 2018, 2019, etc. There was a period where people could get money. It's like, oh, I'm giving money to creator. There's something romantic about that. And then COVID hit, and then people felt sorry for other people, and then they got money. But it feels like that party is over because there's a lot less engagement on people getting money, and it just doesn't work. It's like, hey, I'm a non-binary creator. I mean, and by the way, I'm not making this up to be slanderous. Literally, this is what one of these individuals wrote. I'm a non-binary POC. By the way, the migration of POC to stand for person of color conflicts with my years of POC, meaning proof of concept, which is a technical term. If you're in software engineering, you call it a proof of concept. This is when you're doing a prototype of something before you invest all the money to do it fully. So the idea of POC. Whenever I see somebody who's like, I'm a non-binary POC, it's like, you're a proof of concept. Well, okay. Anyway, you used to be able to write kind of stuff like that, and people are like, well, here's some money, and it was very easy. But it feels like that's dried up. That kind of e-begging, I think, is come to a bit of an end. And I know at least one creator who I think would put something out every couple months is like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. Others are like, well, I guess that revenue stream is dried up. They didn't necessarily need the money in the first place. So, but what happened? Like, there was a brief period where a lot of creators were, creating, different kind of loyalty tiers, and they draw sketches and get money, and you could fund their, these various programs and everything else. I think just saying, hey, give me money. I don't know. I mean, like, feels like a kind of ass thing to do when you've got kind of legendary. You got Larry Hama over there going, hey, I need to make money off signatures so I can afford, healthcare. And then you got other creators who are like, hey, I'm a proof of concept. Give me money. I don't know. It's distasteful. All right. Sorry. There's a mail here. Not completely about this, but it is about Patreon and some of these other things. So, dear Perch, now, I was listening to your Kaepernick video and your opinion about just giving the creators $4 million. You're 100% correct. I will tell you briefly about homeless people, as they represent the worst case scenario. They do not have any way to turn money into money or to make money, other than begging or illegal sales. What is worse, they cannot imagine a way to make money other than begging or illegal sales. Without the tools or even the concept of ways to make money with money, an influx of cash isn't going to change anything. It can't build anything. This is attached to the early confusion around what Patreon was. Clearly, it was a thing to do until you could get a real job at a real company doing something. People were astonished that people on Patreon would actually turn down jobs. I'll pause here for a second. That's somewhat true, but Patreon was also a way to kind of not just, briefly get money, but actually formulate a little business. The intention of Patreon was, you can, like artists who will go and create work and then sell it at a community fair or farmer's market or stuff like that. It created them a e-shop in order to basically get people who like their work to follow them and get money. The intention was, we'll create goods, you create a fan base, we put those two together, you create goods, you create a fan base, we'll give you the mechanism in which to regularly get money to allow you to keep making goods for people who like your goods. And so it can be a job. But of course, there's been plenty of people who've kind of ruined Patreon by like it basically being a subscription to just give you money, and very little would come out from those tiers, and lead to tears. Anyway, sorry. I couldn't help it. I'll make that joke. All right, so back to the old mail here. It says, while over there is Jay Naylor pulling in over $10K a month making comics that are never printed and will never see the shady backroom of an LCS. And why would he even bother? As for going to work for Marvel, why? Well, maybe Dark Horse. They might be interested, but they would have nothing to offer him. Patreon and Kickstarter are ways to make money. Heck, even Amazon. They are real markets that any jackass can access. As for the industry, there is no way in and nothing there for you once you get in, but it's a real job. Ugh. Later, the mail kind of wandered a little bit there at the end. But the point I think that's being made here is this is the problem. There's a problem with Kaepernick's thing. And by the way, a lot of people question me going, $4 million is a lot of money. I'd love that money. Sure, we all would. But when you're doing a tech company and you have server costs and you have, and you're creating using, in some cases, OpenAI or variant of that, you're doing manufacturing, you're doing publishing, you're doing logistics, you're going to have lawyers. Like that 4 million vanishes fast. And it's why any kind of AI tech company, generally, they raise a lot more than that. Now, sometimes, typically, just let me explain kind of how you want to make money in a startup. You want to typically use your own money or angel investment or someplace where you don't necessarily have to give the money back to do your POC. In this case, I mean proof of concept, not person of color. That's OnlyFans if you're doing your POC. Never mind. Anyway, but you want to basically not take a lot of investment because investment dilutes you. What that means is, you want to see if your product or your idea is viable. And ideally, if it's tech, you want to file some patents around it so you have some protection. You want to get some intellectual property or IP. And so you want to do that with as little money income as possible. Why? Because at the early stages, when you're wanting cash, you have no business model, you have no revenue, you have nothing but your proof of concept, meaning anyone who's going to give you money is going to demand a major stake in the company. So I'll give you a scenario, and people watch Shark Tank and they don't quite get some of the concepts that are going on there. And, Shark Tank as a show is built for kind of entertainment. I know there's real investment that happens there and all the rest, but that's a TV show produced by Mark Burnett. That's not exactly what investment banking looks like. But anyway, you basically, if you have a concept, what you want to do is you want to get some protection. You want to get some IP, some patents. Basically, you've written something and it's yours and you own it and other people can't copy it. And you want to do that. This is where people will start companies in their garage. You don't go run out and get an office building. By the way, this is one of the dumbest things that comic companies do. You see these publishers come out, they raise money. Like, we got $4 million. And immediately, like, we bought ourselves an office in Manhattan. Why? Congratulations. You just dumped a bunch of money into real estate, which is just, there's no asset there. You're renting. And you just threw your money down the toilet so you can have an office. And the argument people use is like, well, yeah, but if we're going to attract those Hollywood deals, we're going to need a fancy office. You're not getting any Hollywood deals, you dumb fucker. So anyway, so you don't raise a lot of money. You get your patents. You get kind of proof that this is a real thing. You then walk into an investment bank or a venture capitalist, or you walk into a fund, and you say, hey, I need $20 million to go scale this thing. I've got an idea. It works. It's mine. Nobody can steal it. I'm protected. And what I need to do is I need your money to scale. And if you're getting money for scale and you have your patent, people are believing that your business is going to go 10, 20x. So they may give you that $10 million at a 10%, 15% valuation. Sorry, not valuation, but equity stake. They basically, the person giving you the money owns that amount of the company. And in doing so, it means you continue to own your 90%. Every bit of money you take, you have to give away a little bit of your company to do it. And what happens to a lot of startups is they don't have a great idea and they take, too little money. They take 4 million, they have to go back and get another 4 million and another 4 million. And each time they do that, they're giving away more and more equity in their company. And before they know it, the owner owns 10%. And as soon as you own a minority share of your company, one, if it's really, really successful, you're not going to get a lot of money out of it. People who want to start a company, sell it for $100 million, if you've diluted your equity down to, 10%, okay, cool. You're going to get 10 million of the 100 million. That sounds good, but you're also sharing that amongst your staff. You got to pay out other things. I mean, like it becomes not worth it very, very quickly in that scenario. So that's sorry, I wandered away. Anyway, the point this Bell was going into is like, we do find ourselves in the uncanny valley of suck where this business is concerned, because on one hand, you've got, these little Patreons and other things where people are making comics that are never going to see the light of day, and they're entertaining their fan base, but it's a diluting business. I mean, even people who are doing kind of Kickstarter and Indiegogo and other things, they're making comics, but for a very limited audience. It's only them. The collector's market on that stuff's going to be dubious. I know there's been some pictures like, hey, I bought, ISOM #1, And, then I could go to a comic store and sell it for $5. I mean, sorry, or $50 or $500. By the way, I'm not going, this isn't a fuck Eric July, video by any stretch of imagination. It's just that, it's going to appeal to his fan base, or anyone who does a Kickstarter. It's going to appeal to their fan base. If you're Sean Murphy and you're doing Zorro, it's going to appeal to fans of Zorro, and it's going to appeal to Sean Murphy's fans. Those are the people who are going to buy in on that. And so that's good for him because the Sean Murphy fan base, no knocking at Sean. It's nice. It's good that you have those people, but it's a Zorro fan base that is going to come in and buy more and hopefully move from being a Zorro fan into a Sean Murphy fan. That's what you'd want. When Sean did Plot Holes, that was going to be for fans of Sean Murphy and hopefully fans of that genre, but mostly it's going to be fans of that creator who are going to come in on that and buy it. And then, one day he can option it. He owns the rights. There's different things he can do with it. So that's cool. But just there's I don't want to say dilution, but there's different tiers of where that money can come in. And so a lot of the comics that are being done on the indie level really don't have anywhere to go beyond their fan base. And if you want to have like major like Hollywood blockbuster movie support and everything else, you're going to need to, you have to get further than that. You have to get more distribution, more supports. And that's why this Kaepernick thing is kind of a waste of time if it doesn't actually create that mechanism. Just helping people get their comics out. Well, frankly, there's lots of mechanisms to do that already. Building an AI engine to help people get their comics out. Okay, so now you're helping people, build a vanity project for themselves, a comic that, of theirs for themselves that isn't even their art. I mean, I just, at some point, it's like, what's even the point of any of that? That's the problem that you get into. But meanwhile, in the big two, you got shitty page rates. So they have the distribution, they have the IP that people know, but they pay like garbage and the job security is zero. So that's why I call it the uncanny valley of shit. It's basically you can work for nothing on places where a lot of your work gets out there, or you can work for yourself and probably make more money, maybe be a little happier, but none of your work gets any kind of mass distribution or gets in front of a lot of people. So pick. It's either, relatively okay money, but fairly obscure, or, poverty level, but a lot of people see it, but, quickly forget about it as well because there's such a glut of content out there. It's a bad situation to be in. Anyway, fuck begging. Am I right? I don't know. Anyway, that video went all over the place, as they do. If somebody gave I saw a criticism of this channel, like he rambles and goes all over the place. I'm like, that's true. No lies detected. Next. Thanks for listening.